Imagine waking up to the roar of heavy machinery ripping apart something you built with your own sweat and savings. That's exactly what happened to me, Alex Thompson, on a crisp autumn morning in the supposedly idyllic suburb of Willow Creek, Colorado. But this wasn't just any destruction. It was the handiwork of the High Meadow Homeowners Association, led by the queen of petty tyrants herself, Karen Whitaker, who decided my private driveway was suddenly community property because it offended her vision of neighborhood perfection. I was halfway through my first cup of black coffee, the kind that hits like a lifeline after a late night tinkering in the garage, when the ground shook like an earthquake had hit. Peering out the kitchen window, I saw it. A hulking yellow bulldozer, its blade gnashing into the gravel path I'd laid down 5 years ago, stone by painstaking stone. This wasn't some random construction crew. No, these guys had the telltale HOA stickers on their hard hats, the ones that screamed official business in block letters. I bolted outside, still in my faded plaid pajama bottoms and an old band tee, barefoot on the dewy grass, yelling like a madman over the diesel growl. "What the hell are you doing? That's my driveway. Stop." The operator, a burly guy with a mustache that looked like it belonged in a 70s cop show, killed the engine just long enough to lean out and wave a crumpled work order. "Sorry, buddy. Orders from the HOA says this strip needs widening for enhanced vehicular flow and aesthetic uniformity. We're just following protocol." Protocol? I could feel my blood pressure spiking as the blade hovered over the drainage ditch I'd installed myself to prevent flooding during those brutal Rocky Mountain storms. This driveway wasn't even part of the HOA's domain. It snaked through my 2-acre lot, which I'd bought long before the cookie-cutter houses sprouted up like weeds around it. But there she was, materializing from behind the machine like a bad omen. Karen Whitaker, in her signature floral blouse, khaki capris, and those sensible loafers that clicked with every self-important step. "Oh, Alex," she cooed, her voice dripping with that faux sympathetic tone that made my skin crawl, the kind reserved for scolding wayward children. She adjusted her oversized sunglasses, peering down at a tablet like it held the 10 Commandments. "We've discussed this at the last 3 meetings. Your rustic path here is a visual blight and a potential hazard. Emergency vehicles need clear access, and frankly, it doesn't match our community's curb appeal standards." I stared at her, gravel dust swirling in the air like fallout from her ego. "Disgust? Karen, I'm not even in your HOA. This land's grandfathered in. Predates your little kingdom by a decade. You can't just roll in and play God with my property." She smiled that tight-lipped smile, the one that said she'd already won in her mind. "Well, dear, the board voted unanimously. It's for the greater good. Think of the children. What if a fire truck couldn't navigate because of your uneven gravel? We're modernizing it, free of charge. You should be thanking us." Thanking them? As the bulldozer revved back to life, flattening my hand-planted wildflower border and churning up the earth like it was yesterday's trash, I felt a rage bubble up that I'd kept bottled for years. Whispers in the neighborhood had painted me as the reclusive weirdo who didn't mow his lawn to exact HOA specs or paint his mailbox in approved shades of beige. I'd ignored the gossip, the sidelong glances at block parties I never attended. But this was war declared on my doorstep. By noon, the damage was done. My private driveway, once a serene escape from the cul-de-sac chaos, was now a scarred extension of the main loop, paved smooth with asphalt that screamed uniformity and reeked of fresh tar. Neighbors drove by, some gawking, others averting their eyes like they knew this was wrong but feared the wrath of Karen's clipboard. I spent the afternoon poring over my deed in the dim light of my study, the original survey maps yellowed but ironclad. Lot 47. Fully owned, no easements, no HOA covenants. Armed with copies, I stormed the next HOA meeting that evening, held in the community center that always smelled like stale coffee and desperation. The room was packed with folding chairs and residents fidgeting under fluorescent lights. Karen sat at the head table, flanked by her minions. Guys like Ted, the perpetual yes-man with a comb-over, and Sheila, who nodded like a bobblehead at every pronouncement. I slapped my documents down with a thud that echoed. "This is trespassing and vandalism. You destroyed private property without permission. Fix it or I'll sue. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen didn't flinch. She leaned back, tapping her manicured nails. Alex, always so dramatic. The board reviewed the maps. Your driveway abuts our common area. It's practically shared. We acted in good faith for safety. Ted chimed in, his voice squeaky. Yeah, and now it's connected seamlessly. Win-win, right? I laughed, a bitter bark that cut through the tension. Win-win? You turned my sanctuary into your shortcut. This ends now. As I left, Karen's voice trailed after me like a bad aftertaste. We could have added lovely solar lights, but if you want to be obstructive, the irony burned. That night, nursing a beer on my porch, I plotted. I'd been the quiet observer for too long, watching Karen's reign of terror. Finding folks for unapproved holiday lights, dictating fence heights down to the inch. No more. It was time to turn the tables with a dose of her own medicine. Rules enforced my way. 2 weeks ticked by in a blur of planning and permits. I'd consulted my sister, a sharp real estate lawyer in Boulder, who laughed when I told her the story. They messed with the wrong guy, Alex. Let's make this airtight. We drafted everything, easement terms, signage specs. Then, under the cover of dawn, a crew I hired, ironically, the same company the HOA used, for that extra twist, installed it. A gleaming 10-foot wrought iron gate at the driveway's mouth, where it met the loop. Motorized with a keypad, camera array, and sensors that could spot a squirrel at 50 yards. Bold red letters proclaimed, "Private road, $40 toll per entry, pay or turn back." Below, in finer print, "Not HOA territory. Access by owner's discretion only." The first morning was chaos gold. Cars piled up like lemmings, drivers fumbling with phones, honking in confusion. One lady in a minivan rolled down her window. "Is this a joke? I just need to get to yoga." I watched from my hidden camera feed, sipping coffee, as she swiped her card and grumbled through. By day's end, I'd collected $320 in digital payments, all funneled to my new LLC, Thompson Trailways Incorporated. It wasn't about the money, though it didn't hurt, but about the principle. Karen's greater good had a price tag now. Word spread like wildfire on the neighborhood Facebook group, the one Karen moderated with an iron fist. Posts exploded. "Who's this Thompson guy charging us to use the road? HOA should shut this down." But a few dissenters piped up. "Wait, isn't that his land?" Karen bulldozed it first. I stayed silent online, letting the pot stir. Then came the confrontation. Saturday afternoon, as I weeded my garden beds, now visible to all, thanks to her improvements. Karen's white SUV screeched up, parking at a dramatic angle that blocked half the entrance. She marched over, heels sinking into the soft earth, face flushed under her perfect bob haircut. "Alex Thompson, this is outrageous. Extortion, plain and simple." She jabbed a finger at the gate. I straightened up slowly, wiping dirt on my jeans. "Extortion? Nah, Karen. This capitalism. You invaded my property. I'm monetizing the inconvenience. Fair's fair." She huffed, crossing her arms. "This blocks essential access. What about ambulances? Deliveries? You're endangering lives for a grudge." I smirked. "Funny, that's word for word what I said when your bulldozer showed up uninvited. And ambulances? They get a free pass, key codes on file with dispatch. Everyone else? Pony up." She spun on her heel, muttering about legal recourse and community petitions. As she stormed back, I called out, "Don't forget to pay on exit, cameras watching." The gate became the talk of Willow Creek, a symbol of rebellion against Karen's micromanagement. Lines formed at peak hours, drivers cursing under their breath as they tapped cards. My app pinging with each transaction. I upgraded it midweek. Added a voice prompt that cheerily announced, "Thank you for supporting private enterprise. Drive safe." Neighbors started splitting into camps. The loyalists who boycotted my road, taking longer routes and complaining about gas prices, and the secret admirers who slipped me notes. "Keep fighting the good fight." Profits hit $1,200 by week 2. But the real win was watching Karen's facade crack. She'd post passive-aggressive updates. Reminder: true community members respect shared spaces. Shared? The hypocrisy was delicious. Then things escalated. One evening, my cameras caught a county inspector duo pulling up in a marked truck, tools in hand. They poked around the gate space, measuring tape snapping. I ambled out, casual as could be. Evening, fellas. Admiring the craftsmanship. The lead guy, balding and bespectacled, flashed a badge. Ron Hale, County Zoning. Complaint filed. Says this gate's on public easement. I chuckled. Public? Pull up the records. This is my lot, clear as day. He showed a doctored map. Red lines redrawn to nibble at my boundary. HOA submitted an amendment last quarter. Claims a strip for utility access. The plot thickens. I fetched my originals from the safe. Blueprints from '92. Notarized affidavits proving no changes without my sign-off. Ron whistled. This predates their filing by years. Looks like someone's playing fast and loose. As they left, promising a review, I installed extra floodlights and a backup cam. Karen wasn't done. She was just getting sneaky. That gut feeling paid off 2 nights later. At 1 a.m., alerts blared. Motion detected. Feed showed 2 shadowy figures slinking up with bolt cutters and a pry bar. Faces masked but builds familiar. One stocky like the bulldozer driver from day one. I hit record, dialed 911, and watched the show. They snipped wires, grunting instructions. Boss said cut the power first, then yank the signs. Deputies rolled up silent, lights flashing. The perps froze mid-pry, one bolting into the bushes only to trip over a root. Cuffed on my gravel, they spilled. HOA hired us, said it was an illegal barrier to remove. In their truck. A note in Karen's looping script. Disable quietly. Restore order. KW. I handed over footage at the station next morning. The DA's eyes lit up. Tampering, conspiracy. This is gold. Karen got served papers by lunch. Her face on the local news. HOA head implicated in vandalism plot. The neighborhood boiled over. Half railed against her at impromptu gatherings. Sharing horror stories. Fines for non-conforming bird feeders. Forced removals of unsightly vegetable gardens. The other half whispered defenses, but doubt crept in. Enter Lisa, the ER nurse from down the block, knocking on my door with a folder thick as a novel. Alex, we're recalling the board. Karen's gone rogue. Finding my kids' lemonade stand for unlicensed commerce. Help us. We huddled over coffee, mapping the bylaws she'd twisted. Lisa had 40 signatures. We needed 25 more. I've got dirt, I said. Let's unearth it all. Days blurred into a detective saga. Lisa's tech-savvy nephew pulled county records. 6 shady amendments in 3 years, all unanimous without votes. One funneled a park path to a dummy corp tied to Karen's brother-in-law. Another rezoned lots for eco-friendly developments that smelled like kickbacks. My sister reviewed Fraud City. DA time. We met the investigator, laying out timelines, affidavits from bullied residents. A week later, boom. Karen arrested on embezzlement, forgery, conspiracy. Board suspended, county audit launched. My gate stayed, but now folks buzzed in politely, some with baked goods, one with bourbon. To the man who slayed the dragon. The air in Willow Creek shifted, whispers turning to open chats. Folks who'd eyed me suspiciously now waved, sharing tales of Karen's reign. Mailed ballots pre-marked yes. Meetings rigged with no minutes. Lisa dumped a mail stack on my table. Postmarks after votes. One unsealed with forged approvals. Election fraud, I muttered. We hauled it to Auditor Dana Mills. A no-nonsense pro with a hawk's gaze. They hid finances too illegal. Subpoenas flew. Revelations poured. Ghost invoices for phantom work. Cash payouts to cronies. The bombshell? A $45,000 transfer to Whitaker Holdings. Karen's hubby's shell? Days post-bulldozer. Labeled consulting. Her husband got nabbed at his firm. News crews swarming. Karen barricaded in issuing a lame, misled by advisors statement. Search warrants, unearthed laptops, servers, evidence galore. Then the anonymous drop. A USB in my mailbox. Sticky noted, watch this. A Zoom clip. Karen scheming with lackeys. Slip in the easement via drainage reroute. Backdate votes. If Thompson fights, cry safety hazard. I forwarded it. Subpoenas rained. More charges. Fraud, tampering, misuse of funds. State froze assets. A trustee, ex-judge Elena Ruiz, dropped the hammer at a PACT meeting. This HOA never legit. Developer botched filings, null and void. Pandemonium. Dues wasted. Refunds. Elena confirmed rescissions. Restitution pursuits. Signs vanished. Patrols halted. Lisa visited with pie. You dismantled an empire. I clinked glasses. They started it. Peace settled, but vigilance lingered. I monitored cams, toll-free now. County oversaw commons. Volunteers maintained trails. Then Lisa flagged a new folder, High Meadow Cooperative. Rebranded HOA voluntary dues but auto-enroll tricks. Board, Ted's alias Gregory Tate. Contract with out-of-state firm, Brightvale Management. Inspections, fees, adjacent access clauses. They're phoenixing, I said. Dana confirmed. Pattern in other states, dissolve, reform deceptively. I had the USB's hidden spreadsheet. Mismatched books, plans to absorb my land via billing. AG investigated. I cease and desisted. Gregory showed. Misunderstanding, Alex. Voluntary cooperative. Streamlining enrollment? Sounds like coercion. He slunk off. Investigators raided Brightvale. Racketeering. Fraud. Gregory flipped. Emails exposing the front. Court shredded them. Deceptive control abuse. Coup dissolved. Funds to victims. Finally, true quiet. I swapped steel for Woodgate. Open often. Lisa's counsel? Pure volunteer, no power grabs. 4th of July? Parade on my road. No tolls. Kids biked freely, no one questioning ownership. It was just a road again. But here's the question. Was I the obstructive neighbor for charging a toll and fighting back? Or was Karen the true villain, hiding behind community to build her petty empire?